David Foster Wallace opened up his Kenyon College commencement speech with this story. He said, there are these two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the two young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and goes, "What is water?" Wallace goes on, the immediate point of the fish story is that the most obvious, ubiquitous realities are often the ones that are the hardest to see and talk about. I think anxiety is like that. For many of us, it's just the water we swim in. My name's Joe, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm also an ordained Christian minister. So my perspective on these topics is obviously shaped by a worldview that says God cares about you, and He desires greater freedom for you in your struggle with anxiety. According to psychologist Robert Leahy, we live in an age of anxiety. He says, quote, "The average American child today exhibits the same level of anxiety as the average psychiatric patient of the 1950s. So yeah, it's like the water we swim in. If you were to just Google it, you're going to find definitions like this. Anxiety is a psychological and physiological state characterized by cognitive, somatic, emotional, and behavioral components that combine to create an unpleasant feeling that is typically associated with uneasiness, apprehension, fear, or worry." Sound familiar at all? Probably, because talking about worry and anxiety can be like fish talking about water. Some of us aren't even aware of how much anxiety we carry around. Now, I consider myself an expert on anxiety. Don't misunderstand me. I don't mean I'm an expert in how to treat it. I mean I've spent tons of time dealing with it. I know anxiety. During grad school, I was in a therapist's office once a week talking about the anxiety attacks I was regularly experiencing. Many nights I would have to do a whole routine, breathing exercises, visualization techniques, meditating on a psalm of the Bible, just so I could fall asleep. I know worry and anxiety. In many ways, it's still the water I swim in. And so still, one of my favorite commands in all the Bible, it's a command, but it's a gracious command, is in Matthew 6:34. Jesus says, "Do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself." I love this command because it demonstrates first that Jesus really knows us. He knows that we're going to have anxiety in this world. Life is hard. But He also teaches us some things about this worry and anxiety that we carry. And for this brief video, I just want to highlight one of the things He teaches us. Anxiety robs us of the now. And what do I mean? Well, anxiety, you see, it's often future-oriented. Do not be anxious about tomorrow. It's worrying about something that could happen at some point in the future. And Jesus is just trying to graciously tell us that this is a double bind. You're trying to change the future by worrying about it, which of course you can't. But meanwhile, what are you missing out on? This moment. The only moment you ever get to live. The now. Anxiety robs us of being able to live because it robs us of being in the present moment. I'll give you a personal example of this. I was sitting with somebody recently. They were telling me about some things going on in their life. And I realized after a few minutes, I was having difficulty really listening. I realized this was because my mind kept wandering off a couple of days into the future to a meeting that I had to go to, a meeting that I was anxious about. Worry kept pulling my mind into the future, robbing me of the now that I was actually living in front of a real human being, sharing part of their story with me. You see, our anxiety doesn't just affect us. And robbing you of being in the moment, it is robbing others of you, your presence as a human being to love and care for another person as God has commanded you to do. C.S. Lewis, in his masterpiece, The Screwtape Letters, he writes about this. If you know the book, it's a series of letters from one demon to another about ways to pull people away from God. Listen to these words. "For the present is the point at which time touches eternity. Of the present moment and of it only Humans have an experience analogous to the experience which their God has of reality as a whole. In it alone, freedom and actuality are offered them. Our business is to get them away from the present so that thought about the future inflames hope and fear. It is unknown to them, so that in making them think about it, we make them think of unrealities. In a word, the future is of all things the thing least like eternity. Hence, nearly all vices are rooted in the future. Gratitude looks to the past, love to the present, fear, avarice, lust, and ambition look ahead. Anxiety pulls us into an unreality, an imagined future, and it robs us of the only moment we truly get to live, now. So just stop being anxious. No, of course, it doesn't quite work that way. Anxiety, like any troubling emotion in your life, is like a dashboard indicator light on your car. The light points to something going on under the hood. So more on that in the next video.